Every day, millions of people around the world reheat their meals without a second thought. In fact, studies show that over 85% of households in developed countries use a microwave to reheat leftovers at least once a week. It's quick, convenient, and seems harmless, until you look closer. What if I told you that some of those reheated foods might be silently harming your body? According to research published in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition, certain foods, when reheated improperly, can form toxic compounds such as nitrosamines, acrylamides, and oxidized fats, substances linked to cancer, cardiovascular damage, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. In one study, scientists found that reheated leafy greens could increase the presence of carcinogenic nitrosamines by over 70%, and improperly reheated starches, like potatoes, were found to harbor harmful bacteria that may trigger digestive inflammation. These aren't fringe theories, they're peer-reviewed findings backed by toxicology and nutrition experts worldwide. So while you think you're making a smart choice by saving that spinach omelet or chicken stew for tomorrow, you might be unknowingly compromising your health, especially if you're over 50, when your body becomes more sensitive to oxidative stress and inflammation. This video will reveal 5 everyday foods that nutritionists and doctors consistently warn should never be reheated. We'll explain exactly why, using real science, not rumors, and give you practical tips to keep you and your loved ones safe. Stick with us to the very end, because this isn't just about avoiding a bad habit, it's about understanding how small changes in your kitchen can make a big difference in how you feel, think, and age. Ready to find out what's really in your leftovers? Let's get started. Number 5. Mushrooms lose their balance when reheated. Mushrooms are often celebrated for their earthy flavor, rich texture, and surprising health benefits. They're packed with antioxidants, fiber, and even immune-boosting compounds. Whether sautéed into an omelet, simmered in a soup, or served as a side dish, they've earned their place on many dinner plates. But what many people don't realize is that mushrooms are among the most sensitive foods when it comes to reheating. And this sensitivity can lead to more than just a change in taste. It can potentially alter your body's internal chemistry in ways you might not expect. Mushrooms are unique. Unlike many vegetables, they're made up of complex proteins and enzymes that break down rapidly after being cooked. When you reheat them, especially more than once, their protein structure can degrade into compounds that your digestive system has trouble processing. This breakdown can result in digestive discomfort, bloating, or a heavy, sluggish feeling after eating. And for older adults, whose metabolism and enzyme levels have naturally shifted with age, these effects can be more noticeable. When mushrooms are improperly stored or reheated at uneven temperatures, such as in the microwave, their proteins and fats can oxidize, creating harmful substances, some of which have been linked to increased oxidative stress in the body. And as you may already know, oxidative stress is one of the driving forces behind cellular damage, chronic inflammation, and age-related decline, including memory issues and cognitive dysfunction. Let's look at an example. Suppose you cook a hearty mushroom stew for dinner. It's delicious, savory, and comforting. The next day, you reheat a bowl in the microwave and notice it doesn't quite taste the same. Maybe it feels rubbery, or the flavor is oddly muted. What you're tasting isn't just yesterday's dinner. It's the byproduct of protein degradation and chemical transformation. The nutrients that were once so beneficial have shifted, and your body now has to work harder to process what's left. Even the texture gives you clues. Freshly cooked mushrooms are tender, juicy, and rich in flavor. Reheated mushrooms often turn chewy, watery, or slimy, none of which are signs of quality. These physical changes signal that the food's original integrity has been lost, and with it, much of its benefit. There's also a broader pattern that's important to recognize. Many seniors who struggle with bloating, gas, or digestive irregularities don't trace those symptoms back to something as simple as a reheated meal. But digestion starts with the quality of the food and how it's treated after it's cooked. When your body is constantly processing degraded proteins, even in small amounts, the cumulative effects can lead to fatigue, inflammation, and increased susceptibility to illness. It's not about one bad meal. It's about the ongoing wear and tear from repeated exposure. That's why mushrooms, as healthy as they are, should be handled with special care. If you cook them, try to eat them the same day. If you must store leftovers, keep them refrigerated in a sealed glass container and reheat them gently on the stovetop, never in the microwave. Or better yet, enjoy them cold if the recipe allows. A chilled mushroom salad with olive oil and herbs can be just as satisfying and far safer for your digestion and long-term health. Avoiding the reheating of mushrooms may seem like a minor adjustment, but for your body, especially as it ages, it's one less burden to carry. And when you begin to recognize these subtle sources of strain in your daily routine, you give yourself the opportunity to feel lighter, clearer, and more energized. It's these quiet, thoughtful shifts that often make the biggest difference over time. Number 4, reheating chicken can trigger hidden inflammation. Chicken is often seen as a safe, healthy choice. It's lean protein, low fat, and easy to prepare. Many of us make it in large batches and store the leftovers for lunch or dinner the next day. But here's what might surprise you. Reheating chicken, especially in the microwave or at high heat, can subtly change the way your body processes it. And over time, that change could quietly contribute to inflammation, digestive distress, and even long-term health concerns. When you first cook chicken, its protein structure transforms in a way that makes it easier for your digestive system to handle. But when you reheat that same chicken, especially unevenly or at too high a temperature, the proteins undergo a second transformation, this time becoming tougher, more rigid, and harder for your body to break down efficiently. And as we age, our digestive systems tend to slow down. This means that foods we once digested with ease can start to cause discomfort, bloating, or sluggishness without us fully realizing why. Beyond digestion, there's another issue that's even more important: inflammation. Medical research has shown that when reheated, chicken proteins are broken down in the body in a way that can release compounds promoting low-grade inflammation. Inflammation is now understood to be a major contributor not just to heart disease and joint pain, but also to cognitive decline and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. So while chicken itself is not the problem, how it's handled and reheated can make a very real difference. Picture this. You roast a few chicken breasts on Sunday, keep the leftovers in the fridge, and then pop one into the microwave on Tuesday for a quick lunch. It saves time. It seems efficient. But what you may not see is that the reheated chicken now has a rubbery texture and doesn't quite taste the same. That change in texture reflects deeper changes in the food, changes your body has to work harder to cope with over time. This creates stress not just on your digestion but potentially on your immune and nervous systems as well. This is especially important for older adults who are already trying to manage joint inflammation, blood pressure, or brain fog. When your body is in a constant state of low-level inflammation, everything feels just a little bit harder, your energy dips, your memory isn't as sharp, and even your mood can feel off. Avoiding something as simple as reheated chicken might not fix everything, but it's one small way to reduce the burden on your body and support your overall well-being. The bottom line is this: how we prepare our food matters. And while it might not seem like much, choosing not to reheat certain proteins like chicken can actually reduce unnecessary stress on your body, stress that builds up slowly over time and chips away at your health in ways that aren't always obvious. When we're younger, we can get away with these small habits. But as we get older, it pays to be more mindful. Your body has worked hard for you all these years. It deserves a little extra care. Number 3, reheated eggs may release harmful compounds. They're quick. They're affordable. And they're one of the most complete sources of nutrition we have. Eggs, whether scrambled, hard-boiled, or sunny side up, have earned a place in nearly every kitchen. But what if this breakfast staple is hiding a secret risk when handled the wrong way? You see, eggs are rich in delicate proteins and fats that your body normally loves. But when you reheat cooked eggs, especially in the microwave or over high heat, you can trigger subtle chemical changes that turn them from nourishing to potentially harmful. What was once a brain-boosting meal can quietly become a source of inflammation, cholesterol oxidation, and digestive stress. Here's what happens under the surface. When eggs are first cooked, their proteins unfold and reorganize into a structure your digestive system can easily absorb. But when those same proteins are heated again, they undergo a second transformation, this time forming tougher, more resistant structures that your body struggles to process. At the same time, cholesterol in the yolk starts to oxidize, producing compounds that researchers have linked to artery damage and long-term cardiovascular risk. Studies have shown that oxidized cholesterol contributes to low-grade chronic inflammation, a condition now understood to play a key role in heart disease, memory loss, and even dementia. The scary part? You can't see, smell, or taste these changes. That microwaved egg might look fine, but inside, it's quietly stressing your body in ways you'd never guess. Older adults are especially vulnerable. As we age, our arteries become less flexible, our brains more sensitive, and our digestive system less efficient. That's why even small habits, like reheating a hard-boiled egg from 3 days ago, can add up over time and impact how we feel, think, and move. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up eggs. Not even close. In fact, freshly cooked eggs are still one of the best foods you can eat for brain health, muscle strength, and immune support. The key is to enjoy them shortly after cooking, or if you do batch cook, eat them cold, sliced over a salad, chopped into a grain bowl, or mashed with avocado. Skip the reheating, and your body will thank you. It's not about fear. It's about awareness. Because when you understand how your daily food habits affect your long-term health, you gain back control. And sometimes, it's the simplest shifts, like how you prepare your breakfast, that quietly shape your energy, your clarity, and your aging. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for the microwave, ask yourself, could a cold egg be the smarter choice? Number 2, reheated potatoes can quietly disrupt your health. Another everyday favorite that many people regularly reheat without a second thought is the humble potato. Whether it's mashed, roasted, baked, or turned into a stew, potatoes are comfort food at its finest. But here's what most people don't know. When you cook potatoes, cool them down, and then reheat them, something inside them begins to change. And that change isn't always for the better. When potatoes are first cooked, their starches become soft and digestible. But as they cool, those starches begin to reorganize and harden into something called resistant starch. Now, resistant starch isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, in its natural state, it can actually help with digestion and blood sugar regulation. But the problem starts when those cooled potatoes are reheated, especially in the microwave or on high heat. During reheating, especially if it's uneven, certain bacteria like Clostridium botulinum can thrive in the oxygen-poor, starchy environment of stored potatoes. This is particularly dangerous if the potatoes were wrapped in foil and left to cool slowly, which creates an even more ideal condition for harmful bacteria to multiply. And while we might not always see the bacteria or smell anything unusual, that doesn't mean they aren't there. Once ingested, these bacteria can cause serious digestive issues and even contribute to neurotoxin exposure in extreme cases. What's more concerning is how this affects your overall health. As you age, your digestive system becomes more sensitive. Your immune system isn't quite as quick to respond. And the brain, which is already vulnerable to inflammation, can suffer when harmful bacteria disrupt the balance of your gut. Medical research increasingly points to the strong connection between gut health and cognitive function. In fact, long-term inflammation in the gut has been linked to higher risk for conditions like Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. This doesn't mean you have to give up potatoes forever. Far from it. But it does mean being smart about how you handle them. Serve them freshly cooked when possible. And if you must save leftovers, store them in airtight containers, not in foil, and reheat them thoroughly and evenly, preferably on the stove where you can control the temperature. Avoid reheating them more than once. And when in doubt, it's safer to toss them than take a risk. Your health is too valuable to leave up to chance, especially when it comes to foods that we tend to overlook. Potatoes might seem harmless, and in their fresh form they are. But the way we handle leftovers matters more than we think. And for older adults who are already working hard to protect their memory, energy, and long-term health, it's worth taking a closer look at how something so simple can have such a large impact. Number 1. Reheating spinach releases harmful nitrates. One of the most common foods that people reheat without thinking twice is spinach. It's packed with nutrients, easy to prepare, and often found in everything from omelets to soups and casseroles. But here's the surprising part. If you're reheating spinach, especially in the microwave or on high heat, you may be unknowingly turning it into something harmful. Spinach naturally contains a high concentration of nitrates, which on their own are harmless and even beneficial. In fact, nitrates can support healthy blood flow and help lower blood pressure. But when you reheat spinach, particularly after it's been stored for a while, those nitrates can break down into nitrites, and those nitrites can convert into nitrosamines, which have been closely linked to cancer risk in multiple studies. It's a chemical reaction that happens quietly and invisibly, but its long-term impact can be serious. This is especially concerning for older adults, since our bodies become more sensitive to toxins over time. What once might have had minimal effect in our 30s or 40s could now have a much stronger impact on our cells, especially those involved in brain function or tissue repair. Nitrosamines are known carcinogens that have been linked not only to gastrointestinal cancers but also to neurological damage in laboratory research. For example, let's say you made a big batch of vegetable soup on Sunday night and added plenty of spinach to make it healthier. On Monday, you reheat a bowl for lunch. Seems harmless, right? But that reheated spinach, which was full of healthy nitrates the night before, may now contain altered compounds that your body wasn't meant to process repeatedly. And when this habit is repeated over the months and years, it quietly builds up in your system, affecting your body in ways you may not notice right away. It's not about fear. It's about being informed. Once you understand how your everyday habits in the kitchen can influence your long-term health, you gain more control over your well-being. So if spinach is on the menu, make it fresh or eat it cold. Avoid reheating it, especially more than once. Your body, your brain, and your future self will thank you for making that small change today. These silent risks are often overlooked not because they're unimportant, but because they don't show up right away. But as we age, we learn that it's not just about what we eat. It's about how we prepare and handle our food. Reheating spinach may seem like a small thing, but over time it can quietly work against your health in ways you'd never expect. Your kitchen is more powerful than you think. The choices you make there, how you cook, store, and reheat your food, don't just affect today's meal. They shape your long-term health, energy, and even how your brain functions years from now. We often focus so much on what we eat that we forget what matters just as much. The 5 foods we discussed today are just the beginning. Understanding how your body responds to everyday habits is the first step toward protecting it. And when you start applying that knowledge, avoiding hidden risks, making mindful adjustments, you're not just improving digestion or reducing inflammation. You're investing in clarity, longevity, and a better quality of life. If you found this video helpful, take one more step today: subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss out on the latest science-backed insights to keep your body and brain thriving. And if you know someone who reuses leftovers often, share this video with them, because small shifts can lead to big changes when we care together. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next video, with more ways to turn everyday choices into lifelong health.